Good evening. So, how's your school year going? We heard from Joe in those words that were part of our opening of the school year convocation. His plans for our excellent year ahead. And thank you, Andy. Andy's demonstrating leadership and answering my question enthusiastically. Thank you so much. You've heard me say to the parents in the room, thank you for trusting us with your children. We take that trust very seriously. And I'll say also thank you for trusting us tonight with your time, whether you're joining us here in the Fletcher Family Library, here in our canyon in the Santa Monica Mountains, or if you're joining us on the live stream, thank you. Shout out to all of you at home. We really appreciate your investment, your engagement. Corinne, thank you to you. Thank you to you and Mana for leading our parent volunteers. You provide a great example of that parent engagement that is part of the fabric of the Viewpoint community. And so we know that your engagement with Viewpoint, which is evidenced by your being here tonight, is what makes us stronger. And we hope to reward that engagement with some information tonight about the state of our school. And Viewpoint is almost 65 years old. Very shortly after it was founded by parents who wanted the very best education for their children, it was reincorporated as a nonprofit corporation, which means that we are governed by a volunteer board of trustees. They are 24 in number. They are dedicated, loyal servants of the mission of this institution. They are parents, they are former parents, sometimes grandparents, alumni, and outside educators. Every one of them puts heart and soul into making this place what it is. They are very capably chaired by Andy Kiefer, who has a welcome for you tonight. Andy is our board chair this year. He is the father of 12th grader Sadie Kiefer and is in his 7th year as a parent in this community, and his dedication to Viewpoint extends and will continue to extend beyond Sadie's graduation. So Andy, thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight, and thanks for extending a welcome to us. Andy.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Good evening, and thank you guys for joining us at the Fletcher Family Library and on the live stream. I'm Andy Kiefer. I am the chair of the Board of Trustees. It is a great honor, but there's no honor, and I'm not prouder of anything other than being Sadie Kiefer's dad. She's a senior in Viewpoint's class of 2026. And I'm wearing my pink shirt tonight to celebrate the class color of our seniors. And you're going to hear from 3 outstanding seniors later today. Many of my fellow trustees are here tonight. I want to just give a quick shout out to Tran Ho, Vice Chair. And Scott Taylor, our co-chair of Buildings and Grounds. Thank you guys for your service to Viewpoint. Each year at this time, we bring our community together to share the state of our school. We highlight our students' journeys at the halfway point, and we look ahead to our future. I hope all of you feel as inspired and as energized as I did after watching that video in highlights of our first semester. In his first message last September, Mark said this: "Each day on campus, it's clear. The leadership, talent, and love of learning of our students is a serious engine for excellence." He said that excellence is a felt experience that is attainable to all through attention to detail, hard work, persistence, and an attitude of service. He encouraged each of you to talk to your children about where they have experienced excellence in a person or in an experience, and how they plan to strive for excellence each and every day at Viewpoint. Tonight we celebrate an exceptional first half of the school year, embodying this year's theme of excellence, which is one of our 5 core values. Does anyone remember how I remember our values? Helio, honor, excellence, love, imagination, and optimism. Tonight you're going to hear from Mark about what it means to pursue excellence in all that we do. And I want to take a moment to recognize our extraordinary educators. A life-changing education is powered through an exceptional team of teachers and leaders who inspire, who challenge, and to guide our students each and every day. Our culture of excellence ensures that our students receive not only high-caliber instruction, but also mentorship that nurtures their intellectual curiosity and emotional resilience. That's why it's so important that Viewpoint continues to attract, retain, and develop a team of world-ready educators, teachers who nurture our children to be the next generation of great thinkers, innovators, and leaders. Please join me in a round of applause for our teachers. Give it up for our teachers. On behalf of the entire board, thank you for choosing Viewpoint. Thank you for trusting us with your children's education, and please enjoy the rest of the program. Thank you.
Andy, thank you for that introduction and that rousing cheer for our teachers. I felt like I was in the palestra for a moment there. Thank you all so much. Excellence is our theme for the year because excellence demands that we listen, that we act, and that we continuously improve. Your feedback has helped to shape our 10-year vision. As you'll see tonight, we're building caring community and academic excellence, not choosing between them. As I welcome you, I want to tell you a story of two conversations. The first was as recent as last night, when I had the opportunity to have a conversation with college admission representatives at last night's Junior Family College Case Studies. If any of your families of juniors, you know that our terrific college counseling office does this every year. They invite in college counseling admission officers from around the country. They might be regional officers, and they look at sample cases to walk our 11th graders and their parents through the kind of a practice deliberation of an admission committee. And so with these college admission officers, we had a really rich conversation over dinner. We talked about artificial intelligence and its impacts both on education and on the college admission process. We talked about access. We talked about changing demographics in education, the economy, polarization and what it's doing in higher education. We talked about uncertainty and the challenges of managing the enrollment amidst technological and societal changes. Through it all, one thing was very clear in this conversation, and it was very affirming to me given what we do here at Viewpoint. Colleges are looking for what they've always been looking for, maybe even more so in an age of AI. They're looking for students with critical thinking capabilities. They're looking for students who are ready to engage in discussion in a lively college classroom. They're looking for students with integrity and character. So it's very affirming given the people-centered approach to education at Viewpoint, especially in a disruptive time. And the second conversation is my most recent conversation with our college seniors. Our associate head of school, Mr. Bob Bryan, and I have lunch with every advisory group in our senior class through the course of the senior year. The themes might change as we make our way from September to April, May, as graduation approaches in June. But one thing has really become a constant drumbeat when we talk with our 12th grade students and try to get their feedback on their Viewpoint experience, what they would tell us as they can already see, that light at the end of the tunnel. And that thread is the primacy of the teacher-student relationship, what it means to each of our students in the classroom, outside of the classroom, what it means for their learning and their growth. Again, it affirms that idea that this is a people-centered place. So tonight we want to talk about excellence, academic excellence, teaching excellence, artistic and athletic excellence. And you are going to hear from our students. You can see, you're going to hear tonight, we asked and we listened. You'll hear about our latest Parent Pulse survey results. Tonight, I'm going to share what you told us in our parent survey, that what was good, that which was challenging, and what we're doing about it. Because a commitment to excellence means we don't shy away from hard truths. We're going to talk about how we're celebrating and building. You'll hear highlights from our fall and our early college results from our class of 2026. Most importantly, you hear from 3 members of our class of 2026. You'll hear about how we're financially strong. You will meet our new CFOO, our new Chief Financial and Operating Officer, Mr. Manuel Pardo. You will see how we're charting our future, hearing our strategic vision for 2036, and you'll hear a little bit about how we're already moving. We'll share what's right around the corner. So first, the parent survey. In October, some 491 families responded to our parent satisfaction survey. Thank you very much to those of you who completed the survey. That's a well over 50% reporting rate from our Viewpoint families, which strikes me as very strong for a survey like this. Your participation rate and the detailed feedback show how invested you are in our success and our excellence. This is the Net Promoter Score methodology. Nines, it's a familiar survey on a scale of 0 to 10. How likely are you to refer Viewpoint to a friend or a colleague? You've probably been asked this about many products and services in your life. We take that seriously, even though it might just take you 2 or 3 minutes to fill it out. And we've now been doing this so we can track year-over-year results. So this year, our Net Promoter Score is a 59. What that means is that we had over 68% nines and tens. You've probably already drawn your own conclusions about the picture in front of you, showing the number of answers we got in each of those buckets from 0 to 10. So some 68%, the nines and tens, are considered promoters. You are the ones who are most likely to go out there and talk about Viewpoint School to a friend or a colleague. The 7s and the 8s are called passives. They don't count in the score. And the 0 to 6, believe it or not, are called detractors. And there was some 9% of you in that category. So what that gives us when you net it out is a Net Promoter Score of 59. This is up from 55 last year. That's positive improvement. It didn't happen by accident. It happened because we're listening to you and we're taking action. We're not just satisfied with our score every year. We're always aiming higher. This year particularly, our numbers of promoters were relatively consistent year over year, and in fact what we saw movement in, well, we did see movement from the 9 to the 10 category, which is great. We love those 5-star reviews. We're just like everyone else in your life. But where we really saw movement was in those 0 to 6s moving into the 7s and 8s. So we're not satisfied with 59. We'd like to see that be 65 or over time even 80. You can imagine the highest Net Promoter Score would be 100 if 100% of you were 9s and 10s. Honestly, that's our aspiration. So I'll share with you, we also ask you, well, why did you give us the score that you did? A small percentage of families, some 9%, are detractors. These are families who are frustrated, some of them, and we need to hear them first. You can see the themes that they gave us in their verbatims had to do with the most frequent, a handful of mentions, was about teacher consistency and quality. You're looking for more consistent quality across grades and divisions. Some teachers are exceptional, others cause you to raise questions if you're in this group. You raise questions about administrative communications and decision making. You questioned our effectiveness and our transparency, and might have caused some of you to question your confidence in us as leaders. You had verbatim comments about academic rigor. Some said that we're not challenging students enough, that the curriculum needs to be stronger and more demanding, and you had comments about value and cost. You connected these concerns to tuition and about your concern about how it increases, the essential question being, are we getting what we're paying for? These are sometimes hard things to hear, and you are right to expect all of them. We take these concerns seriously, and you'll see how we're addressing them when we share our strategic vision a little bit later. Detractors aren't our only teachers. 20% of you are what we call passives, the families who are generally satisfied but also see room for improvement. Your feedback was more constructive but also equally important. Here's what stood out. Your concerns aligned remarkably with detractors, but you gave us specific solutions. So in order of frequency, the most frequent theme among our 7s and 8s were, again, a desire for greater academic challenge. Honors tracks, AP courses, debate teams, academic competitions, asking the question essentially, can Viewpoint prepare my child as well as other independent schools? And you gave us a roadmap asking for some specific programs and offerings you'd like to see. There was also a theme of communication and transparency, looking for clearer communication about curriculum and grading, transparency about direction, perhaps even driving us to have programs like this one tonight, and looking for more responsiveness to your feedback. You want to be heard. You gave us some mentions about teacher consistency and quality. Your framing was different from those who gave us lower scores. You're saying quality varies and you want consistently excellent teaching in every classroom every year. And you gave us feedback about enrichment programs. Now, I'll tell you, as we look at Viewpoint, we have a program as broad and deep as any I have seen in any independent school in the country. And yet, you want more. You want more extracurricular offerings, academic clubs, competitive sports and arts programs. And finally, our 7s and 8s gave us some feedback on our facilities and our campus. Feedback about maintenance and facilities improvements that we might undertake. You're engaged enough to tell us exactly what you feel confident in your investment, and we are listening. Now let me tell you about the 68% of the families who are promoters. This is our foundation, and it's strong. Our promoters, the 9s and 10s, some over 68% of our families, told us that Viewpoint is a place where your children are truly known and valued. Some 40 families specifically mentioned our community, the warm, inclusive, caring environment where students feel like they belong. Some 35 families praised our teachers, actually many more than that, but calling them out specifically, not just as instructors, but as people who genuinely care about every child. And another group of families specifically valued our whole child approach, the balance between academics and social emotional growth. You used words like grateful, blessed, second home, and family. That emotional connection is what makes Viewpoint special, and it's also what neuroscience tells us drives student learning and student achievement. But here's the big insight. When I look at what detractors and passives are asking for and what promoters already love, I don't see contradiction. I see opportunity. So let's tell you what we're doing. Some people might hear these concerns and think, we need to choose. Should we be a warm, caring, community-focused school that promoters love? Or should we be a rigorous, academically excellent school that will satisfy passives and detractors? And the answer is, and our promoters know this, we reject that false choice. The message I really want every family to hear is that we will always be a place where every child is known, valued, and supported as an individual. And we will always be committed to ensuring that within this caring environment, we deliver the academic excellence and preparation that every child deserves. These are not contradictory goals. Great teachers care deeply about their students and hold them to high standards. A strong community supports each child to achieve their full potential. This is who we are. This is who we are becoming in academic rigor, in teacher quality, in communication, in every area of school life. Before we move on, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for engaging every year when we ask and you answer. Thank you for caring enough to give us detailed feedback, and thank you for your partnership. Every single response, whether it's a promoter celebrating what we do well, a passive telling us where we need to improve, or a detractor sharing frustrations, every response makes Viewpoint better. And your feedback isn't just informing our day-to-day decisions, it reminds us what makes Viewpoint worth fighting for. It's shaping our long-term strategic vision. So let me show you some of that excellence in action through our community celebrations and our college results. In athletics this fall, we have been off to a great start in the Patriot Nation. I hope you have heard by now about the great successes of our CIF Championship boys and girls cross-country teams this year. On the left, you see Ollie O'Connor, who is one of the captains of this year's cross-country team and won the CIF state meet as the fastest runner in California in Division 5, which was really remarkable. If you've been following the story of our cross-country teams, The boys' victory was incredible. As I think you heard me say, it was the 4th year in a row that they won the CIF region. That was really incredible. That means these seniors have never known a team that weren't champions. You're going to hear from one of them tonight. The girls' victory was equally outstanding. That was not always predicted, and the fact that they achieved that championship together is really remarkable. And if you were following the story of their season, you would see something that's true about Viewpoint's culture throughout every single one of our teams and programs, and that is that good process, good relationships, fidelity to values and to discipline yield great results. The results come after the commitment to values and to teammates and to one another. And on the right, you see here our football team. We're very proud of our boys football team, making it as far as the 2nd round this year in CIF playoffs for the first time in a decade. And if you are not, yeah. We had other great successes. You're going to hear a little bit more about our inaugural year in boys varsity water polo, which was outstanding, a long-awaited inauguration of a brand new sport at Viewpoint. And if you don't follow Viewpoint Athletics, we encourage you to do so on our Instagram channel, where you can get live updates and also tune into Viewpoint Sports Media. Just last week, we had this remarkable program to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and I could tell you about healing through music, but I'm going to let Channel 7 do that instead.
And in Calabasas, Viewpoint High School hosted a special musical performance to honor Martin Luther King Jr. Students and staff came together today for Healing Through Music. That included different types of instruments and vocals. The show explored the unifying power of music, showcasing how Dr. King viewed it as a powerful instrument of change.
It was an incredible program produced by a collaboration of our Office of Belonging and Community at Life and, of course, our amazing Viewpoint Music Department. So you saw their voices now, you saw a drum circle, and we did this first 2 years ago. Pat Jackson, our Chief Belonging and Community Officer, had invited a group the year before to celebrate MLK with a program called At the Table with Dr. King. It was remarkable. This team of professional musicians came in. We heard some music. And, you know, she and our music teachers were huddling and saying, you know, we have the talent inside of our Viewpoint community to do that. And that was the birth of Healing Through Music 2 years ago. So we were very happy to bring that program back this year, and we expect it might be the beginning of a tradition, as we have done it every other year now. And right around the corner, we continue our celebrations of belonging and community with Lunar New Year and Black History Month celebrations in February. Also around the corner, and I want to really underscore this week that we're going to be having and the way that it really celebrates our mission. So a tradition since 2018 is our World Ready Week. Last year, we expanded what used to be Diversity Leadership Day into World Ready Week. And you can hear we're doubling down on our promise of exceptional readiness for extraordinary futures, those words from our mission. This event has become an essential part of the Viewpoint experience as students engage with teachers and mentors to create and lead workshops for their peers. Over the course of a week, we hear from keynote speakers. We do have some artistic presentations with creative expression. But the highlight for me is that students lead workshop sessions on areas of their own passion and interest. They collaborate with friends, and they collaborate with mentors on our faculty. This year, a record 180 middle and upper school students are working with faculty mentors to lead 60-minute sessions, over 100 of them proposed. And you can see that this year's theme, you can see it, one out of many viewpoints, one viewpoint, is plainly inspired by the words of our vision statement. In our vision, we envision a community where families value unity in diversity. It's also inspired by our national motto, E pluribus unum, that notion of one out of many. And it is also inspired by a cause that's very dear to me. This fall, Viewpoint was one of just 11 independent schools nationwide. In fact, we were the only school west of Texas to be invited to the inaugural Open Dialogue Conference at Vanderbilt University. The mission of the conference was to bring independent school students, teachers, and leaders together, including members of our board. Mr. Kiefer was there representing our board, to bring us together to talk about how we can foster cultures of open dialogue and civic discourse on our campuses, really creating the students who will be change makers for the future. You can see how those skills are badly needed in today's society. And you can see then that the theme of that conference really inspired the theme of our conference in World Ready Week. I really love that day because I also had the opportunity to engage with the leadership at Vanderbilt and find out what's happening in higher education, and having dinner with the chancellor and hearing about the challenges that they are seeing so that we could come back here and understand the ways that K-12 education is and isn't following higher ed, and also what we need to be prepared for our future. So World Ready Week is right around the corner at the end of February. And then I also want to share with you, as I did with the Board of Trustees in our meeting last week, early college results, and share with you some of our college-bound athletes. Here you actually have, as we've had for in November every year, Division I NCAA College Signing Day. So that is the day nationally when Division I athletes share their commitments. This year, you see here Ollie O'Connor and Anna Lee. Ollie's going to run cross-country track at UCLA, and Anna Lee is going to play girls lacrosse at Colgate. Girls lacrosse, you say? Yes, in fact, Anna has managed to secure a spot on Division I lacrosse team, even though Viewpoint does not have a girls lacrosse program. She has, yeah, that's extraordinary for her. It's actually quite extraordinary because, she loved her Viewpoint experience, and she did not have to sacrifice or compromise the community or the academics here at Viewpoint in order to pursue her athletic dreams. And she's also really challenged the boys on our lacrosse team as she's worked out with them, and I believe might be in a game with them this spring, so stay tuned. When you look across our class of 2026, I want to share with you, here you see a few facts about the 117 members of our class of 2026, and whether your child is in TK or in fact you're one of the parents of seniors here, you get a sense of what the whole class is doing and what does World Ready look like in 2026. The college admissions world is obviously very fast changing, so we are capably led by our Director of College Counseling, Rhody Davis. Thanks, Rhody, and thank you to your team. And you can see here that she and her team have counseled our 117 seniors to file over 1,600 college applications this year. Wow. And you can see that over 800 of them, some 804, were filed as early applications. These are some of the ways in which the world has changed, certainly since I applied to college. If you're doing the math quickly, you can see that what that means is that our 12th graders this year filed an average of 14 applications per student. They're now, many of them, in the waiting game. You also see the way that, and perhaps you're reading this, the way that the early programs, early decision, there's now ED1, ED2, there's early action, there's restrictive early action. You see the way that the early programs have really changed the landscape of college admissions. You can see here some of the schools where students are already headed and where they have gotten big scholarships. And you can also see represented here on this slide the ways in which our team support our seniors with recommendation letters, counselors' letters, and counseling sessions. So you can see here that 97% of our seniors filed an early application, and that 93% of them, so really over 9 out of 10 of them, have already received acceptances to college, which really, I'll tell you, I used to worry about the way that the early programs at the colleges put pressure on seniors, and now I actually see in the competitive landscape today, these early programs actually manage to give kids back their senior year. And in fact, when you hear from our seniors tonight, you'll hear from seniors who know where they're headed to college already and seniors who don't. And that's just the way that it goes in January of 2026. But we're very, very proud of them, and we look forward to the results in the spring. Some other highlights, you could see some other students. We actually had 3 Division I athletes. One had not committed at the time of the signing day, so we also have Neo headed to play soccer at UCSB. We already have another 4 Division III athletes, and we have some more prospects whose opportunities may be coming their way. And we have some unique and very highly competitive programs represented among some of our early results represented on this slide. It's really exceptional. Our World Ready Promise encourages each and every senior to demonstrate to colleges in the application process who they are and to distinguish themselves through that unique identity that's lifted up in our mission, that mission of each individual Viewpoint student. And my own belief is that that is reflected in these results and in our process every year. Just one item on that list that I thought was interesting that, may not, you're like, what's Regeneron? Well, when I was in school, this was called the Westinghouse Science Talent Search. It's been going for, I think, some 70 years. And this year, one of our seniors, Rohan Shivakumar, in the class of 2026, was named one of the top 300 young scientists for his research. So he was a recipient of the Regeneron Science Talent Search Scholarship. These are the 2026 scholars. And what you see there is Rohan presenting his research at NASA JPL. He worked with a professor down at Chapman to conduct research using mathematical modeling to predict wildfire behavior. A very timely topic, and I'm sure that he would lose me and some of us anyway in the math very quickly. We're very, very proud of that distinction and of really all of the distinctions of our seniors. Our college counselors have to stay on their front foot in this world as it rapidly changes. I think we were saying with those college admission officers over dinner last night that every year since the pandemic has been different from every other. In fact, this is one of the things I'd say about change in education is that I've been here at Viewpoint for 11 years, I've been ahead of school for 19, and I'd say earlier in my career of leadership, I'd say that the way that education was changing was somewhat predictable, so that as you saw a trend emerging, maybe it would look as a signal on the horizon, then it would come closer, and you could sort of navigate, and you could see educational change happening, even when it was happening very quickly. You might remember that book, Thomas Friedman, The World is Flat, right? That was, we can predict what globalization is doing. These last 5 years since the pandemic have been very spiky, and what I'd say is no year has been like any other. And so it really does require us to be very savvy viewers and processors and analyzers of trends and of what's happening in the news, including in this world of college counseling. And then here, perhaps too small for you to read, is in fact the long list of colleges all across the country and in fact some abroad who admitted students from the class of 2026 in our early round with more results to come. One of the things you could see if you go on Viewpoint's website, the report from the class of 2025, one of our traditions now is that we're so incredibly proud of our seniors on the morning of our graduation, of our commencement, that we publish the class of 2026 report on the morning of commencement. So stay tuned and you can see it show up there live. And then zooming out a little, we looked back over 10 years of college applications, of Viewpoint classes 2016 through 2025. And I really found this very interesting. Our college application software that students, parents, counselors use to collaborate on this process divides colleges into these quintiles based on selectivity. And so what you see here are actually the results from over 14,000 applications filed by Viewpoint classes from the class of 2016 to the class of 2025. And you see them sorted here by the quintile of selectivity. They're not exactly numerically even quintiles, but it's more based on their rates of selectivity. So you see there how many colleges are in that band and their average acceptance rate, and then our accept rate across those 10 years. I looked back over a longer period of years so that we'd have statistically meaningful numbers, because any one year might be skewed by the smaller number of applications to any one college. And you do see here an unmistakable trend that at the highest, most selective schools, those schools with accept rates averaging 16%, averaging 7%, these are schools whose names you know, these are the top 40 schools in US News, et cetera. You can see that we are seeing Viewpoint students gain admission at over 2 times their accept rate. Which could be owing to the success of our selective admissions process, could be owing to our teaching and our college counseling. Of course, what it's really owing to is the incredible talent, energy, drive, motivation, discipline of the students themselves. And we're very proud of that. We're proud to see that we are outperforming. But I could give you numbers all day. What I really want to do is introduce you to people. And so we're now going to bring up 3 members of our class of 2026. I believe this is what brought many of you out tonight. No pressure. And Kathleen has known pressure as an athlete and as a student ever since she came to us in 9th grade. I'm first going to invite up Kathleen Chen. Kathleen.
Okay, hi. He already introduced me, but I'm Kathleen Chen. I came in 9th grade, and I'm going to be majoring finance in NYU, so I'm very excited. But it's nice to meet you all. Okay, so talking about my Viewpoint experience, I came here in 9th grade, and I thought it would be like really difficult to really like integrate into the community since everyone already knew each other since middle school. But it was actually like not that hard at all, especially since I had the help of the athletics department and also like the teachers, which is what I really wanted to emphasize. I really had a great time with the faculty of Viewpoint. The athletic department really supported me and created a really great family where I met some of my closest friends today and my closest like classmates. Like especially the tennis team, which is what I played for all 4 years. I really had a great time. Like I learned many life lessons with my coach Travis. Shout out to Travis. And it was just like an unforgettable experience. And then going into like the academics, the Viewpoints like teachers has really like changed how I viewed learning, because before it was a very linear way, but like the English department specifically had really helped open my mind as they kind of taught outside of the box and showed me like how learning was just outside of books, but you could do like fun projects like Dr. Bunzel's class, which many juniors are taking now. He really showed me like a lot funner side of English. And then I'd also like to mention like the math department. For me, math had always been like a struggle as a child. In middle school, like one of my teachers even told me, hey, you shouldn't do that anymore. And I was like, no, please. So going into high school, I was already really nervous, but like the math department really like made me fall in love with the subject. And it even like convinced me to go into my current major of finance. Like I always struggled with it, and I still sometimes find it difficult, but I've really fallen in love with it, and it's all due to like Viewpoint's math department. They made that subject so much more than just like numbers. I like understood it, which was like crazy, but I had a great time. And so yeah, that was my experience with Viewpoint and their faculty.
Another question for you. What's your journey from here? What are your future plans? How do they connect to what you've done here?
Okay, yeah. So my journey, I don't want to define it as like a linear path, as like my career. For me, life is much more than just like your job. It's about the experiences you feel. So my vision for the next decade is I want to go to NYU, maybe get a major in finance, and maybe a minor in data science, and then hopefully I'd like to stay on Wall Street and get a job as like an investment banker. But honestly, I would just go wherever the wind takes me, because I'm all about the different experiences. And then finally, I'd probably want to return back to California because the weather's just so nice.
There could not be a better week to say that than this week.
Oh yeah.
And what does World Ready mean to you?
Okay, so World Ready to me is really about, for me, is like independence and freedom. I feel like that's the biggest thing when you become an adult, is independence and how you deal with it. Because many people, if they don't know how to truly like structure their life, it might like be a struggle for them. But for me, I learned a lot about independence and independence, and it really helped me with like my whole process with balancing academics and athletics. And I feel like it's a very crucial skill. And I guess like one way I learned throughout my high school years was especially like, once again, like Viewpoint, they offer so many different courses from when you get in, which I like 8 periods was like really crazy to me. So I would like picking different classes was a huge shocker, but it honestly gave me the control I needed over my own schedule, which is something that I never really had before in middle school, and I hadn't heard about it in other high schools, so this was a shock to me. And it really helped shaped my curriculum into something that I wanted to do in the future, which was really, really great. And then another part on how independence was really, really played into my high school was like, the teachers, they like, even though they support you a lot, they also give you the space that you need, and they don't do everything for you, which I think is really, really great. Like, you get the consequences, and they draw the fine line between too much support and too little support, which honestly helped me flourish so much, helped me manage all my academics and athletics, and it really set me to be prepared for the next chapter of my life.
Kathleen, thank you.
Thank you.
A bonus question.
Okay.
A bonus question for you. What's something that you think about your Viewpoint experience that most parents wouldn't know?
Ooh, okay. For me, one thing that was really special was all of the little events that Viewpoint holds about like Chinese culture, Lunar New Year, and like just like the little amenities that they offer. It really like brightens up my day. Like, especially in my senior year with the VSSA, where they always give us like lunches and they always help out. Like, thank you so much for that. It's really made my senior year so special, and I get to brag about it to all my outside of school friends. It's really made me super happy. And I feel like that's one thing that's really made my Viewpoint, like, they really show that they care about their students and their health and their well-being, and I truly appreciate it.
That's outstanding. And I think you're going to have some interviews for that investment banking career coming out of speaking tonight. Kathleen, thank you. And next, we're going to hear from another member of our senior class, Derek Kessler. Derek. So, Derek, that first question, what's your Viewpoint journey been, and what's defined your experience?
For me, I've been coming here for 13 years, so I think that's like the biggest sign of how well the Viewpoint journey has fit me. I think that for me, Viewpoint has had everything, like academics, athletics, and art. I think Viewpoint does a really good job at balancing those three like areas. And so I think for me, cross country and track, the cross country and track teams, the coaches, the environment on the team is nothing like any other team. I think, like Mr. McKee was saying earlier, we focus on the process, and that's such a big reason why we do so well, is because we're focusing on the team bonding, we're doing all the things that matter, and then we just happen to do well because of that. And then also on the academic side, the support of the teachers has been really good to really help me have a love of learning. I think that has been, for the Viewpoint journey for me, I think that every single new topic that gets introduced, it's something that's interesting. It doesn't feel like I'm going to a class and I have to learn it because that's what they say you do. Or I don't feel like, oh, I have to take a test because grades are a thing. Like I'm interested in the things I'm learning, and I think I'm able to choose my own path here at Viewpoint. And I just think that's because there's too many options. I think that when I came into 9th grade, I remember that I've been here since kindergarten, but transitioning into high school, I was so overwhelmed at the amount of opportunities that I had, the amount of classes that I was able to take. It was too much. Like, it wouldn't fit in my schedule. And so I had, like, after school, I had, like, cross country, I had film, I had so many different things on top of academics that I was doing that it just felt like there was not enough time in the day to fit. Like, I could spend, like, more years at this school and still not be done with everything that there is to do. And also another thing for my Viewpoint journey, is art. I think that all classes have sort of had a creative aspect incorporated to them. And I think for me, I do film, and I love the film program here. And I think the entire art department is amazing. And I just think at Viewpoint, you're able to get such a the tools that they offer and the teachers with all their experience. It's something that you don't get anywhere else. And I think that Viewpoint really supports like building a sort of like open, like creative mind. And I think that's helped me sort of discover who I want to be as a filmmaker. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Since there aren't more years for you at Viewpoint, what's your journey going to be from here? What are your future plans, and how do they connect to your experience?
Yeah, so I'm going to Chapman University, Dodge College, and I will be majoring in film and television production with an emphasis in cinematography. And I will also be running cross country and track at the Division III level. And so for the next 4 years, that's what I'll be doing. And I'm very excited. I cannot wait. I've already met the team for cross country and track. And they're very welcoming, so I'm very excited for that. I've been to the film school, I've toured it twice, and it's just amazing. And so I'm very excited for college. But beyond college, I'm not 100% set on doing film, even though I'm majoring in film. I think that having an education in film will allow me to do the things that I want to do, but maybe that's not film. Maybe I'm not going to be a cinematographer. I've also considered doing video game development, which, even though I'm not majoring in that, the skills that I'll be able to learn from majoring in film and television production will allow me to communicate through the visuals of the game. There are so many like storytelling elements that I'll be able to learn from having an education in film. Yeah.
And Kathleen can help you finance your projects.
Yeah.
Those Viewpoint connections will be at work. What does World Ready mean to you?
I mean, for me, World Ready means being independent, but knowing when to get help. So I think that as I've gone on in high school, I've learned so much, but then I've slowly been able to work on things on my own. But that never means that I'm working alone. It's typically I'm working with teachers, I'm checking in with like my fellow students, and I'm just being able to work on things independently, but also, like I said, know when to get help. And so an example of this that I think Viewpoint has prepared me with is recently when I applied to college, I had to make a film. And so in order to do that, I mostly had to do that on my own, but I was able to talk with the college counselors. I was able to talk with my film teacher to receive script feedback. I asked classmates for help. They were extras on my film. I was able to film on campus. I got gear from the film classroom. The editing process, I was able to talk to a Viewpoint alumni that goes to Chapman. So there's lots of connections. I was able to talk to my teachers. I talked with one of my former English teachers. I talked with film teachers. I talked with many people. Students helped me. The editing software I used, I got from Viewpoint. And I was able to do Coffee House. So I was able to showcase it. And so I just think that Viewpoint has really helped prepare me for sort of working independently in the future. But I'm still able to use everything that I've learned from the school. I'm still able to use all the resources that the school provides in order to achieve my dreams, basically.
And tell us, what's Coffee House? It was last Friday, I know, in our upper school.
Yeah, so last Friday there was basically like an art showcase in a way, like a talent show. And so, yeah, last Friday it was like a mix of like magic tricks. I showed my film. Lots of people did like songs that they wrote. Yeah, so it was just a opportunity for people to sort of see what everyone else has been doing in the art department, I guess. Or yeah,
It's incredible. It's student created too.
yeah.
And so, yeah, a bonus question. What do you think most parents don't know about your Viewpoint experience?
I think for me, the best thing by far that Viewpoint has brought me is the love of learning, and that comes from the teachers. And I think that every teacher I've had wants you to learn. Like they are going to like you can go in after school, you can like ask them questions. They are interested in teaching you like that. Well, yeah, obviously they are, but like I feel like it's so like at Viewpoint, I just the teachers, they're amazing. I mean I hear like I just talk about the teachers a lot. Like I'll be talking to like my parents or my classmates. I'm like, oh, my engineering teacher taught me this thing today, or I can say, oh, I worked on this script with my film teacher. Like there's so many like resources that they're able to provide you, and they're able to teach you so much and just help you be world ready. Yeah.
Derek, thank you. Thank you so much. Derek, thank you, and congratulations again on that championship. And our third senior from the class of 2026, Avi Shah. Avi. So, Avi, our first question, what's your Viewpoint journey been, and what's defined your experience?
Yeah. So I, similar to Derek, have been here for a long time, not quite a lifer. I came in first grade. But my...
We'll count you in. It's okay.
Thank you. But my Viewpoint experience has been defined by a lot of things, definitely in the lower divisions. There was those theater productions, the 5th grade sale, the 4th grade invention convention, those kinds of moments definitely stuck with me. And then as I moved on to high school, sports teams like the other two I've talked about, for me, I was a 4-year varsity swimmer, and as Mr. McKee alluded to, a captain of our first ever water polo team, which was really great. And then on campus, I'm part of groups like Student Council, I'm the senior class president, and other clubs like South Asian Student Affinity and Speech and Debate, so yeah.
That's outstanding. By the way, we love shouting out that water polo had its inaugural year, but last year you were part of a swim team that had won its league how many times?
Yeah, so last year was our 20th in a row for the boys team, going on 21 this year, hopefully.
Yeah, congratulations. We can't undersell the swim program, just to give the shout outs to water polo. What is your journey from here, and what are your future plans?
Yeah, so as you can see on the screen, I was admitted to USC Viterbi early to study environmental
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I am still waiting before I commit. I have a lot of applications in the regular pool. So we'll see. It's kind of hard to predict where I'll be right now, but wherever I may be, I do plan to study environmental engineering, which is sort of looking at energy, hydrogen fueling, stuff like that. And I feel like Viewpoint has done a great job allowing me to explore that interest. There's clubs like Environmental Sustainability Council, where I was able to bring a new recycling program to Viewpoint this year, and they were super supportive. A bunch of the students jumped on board with me and helped us get that started. And then there was also like VAS Environmental Science, which is post-AP Environmental Science, which is something that a lot of other schools may not offer, but it's something that's allowed me to go deeper into that subject of passion. So,
Did you have something to do with the bags to benches?
yes.
Is that you? Maybe you want to give a shout out to that for the folks who are here and the folks who are watching this. You might get more bags.
Yeah, so Bags for Benches is a program I started this year, partnering with the city of Calabasas. But essentially, for every 1,000 pounds of plastic that we recycle, types 2 and 4, the decking company Trex will donate a bench to the school. So it's made of that recycled plastic, and it's an initiative that across all divisions to hopefully get people more environmentally conscious.
So all that stretchy plastic that I thought I couldn't recycle in my bin, I can bring to
That's
you.
right. Yes.
That's terrific. And what does World Ready mean to you, Avi?
Well, to me, it means exactly what it sounds like, ready for the world. And that obviously has more layers. I think it means being ready to move on beyond our lovely viewpoint bubble here. But for the three of us now, it means being ready to live away from home, ready to hold ourselves accountable, ready to meet new and different people. But beyond that, it means being ready for whatever life may throw at you, because it's impossible to come up with examples for what life will really hold. But I do feel like Viewpoint does succeed in preparing us for those moments. Personally, despite being here for so long, I've still learned how to interact with new people, how to problem solve, how to study, how to just connect with others, teachers, peers, coaches. And I feel like these skills will all translate as I move on beyond Viewpoint. So,
Thank you. Our bonus question, what's something you think that most parents wouldn't know about the Viewpoint experience?
yeah, so similarly to Derek, as he talked about the teachers, there's no way to really understand what happens in the classroom unless you're there. I mean, you can hear how great a teacher is, but there's nothing like sitting in that class, you know, sitting in a circle, all discussing something deeply, laughing, joking, with your teacher involved. And it's just something special. I've been in many other academic settings, but the classrooms here at Viewpoint are just one of a kind. And it's not something that I can really put into words, but that's what I would say.
Avi, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think certainly, thank you. And shout out to the parents of these seniors and all of our seniors. We genuinely could not be prouder. The mission of the school, those words that we say, and hopefully you perhaps know by heart as I do, it's just words until it becomes lived through the lives of our students. And so I really thank you for being here tonight and representing so well our class of 2026. We're so proud of you. So the other lens on the mission of our school, I learned from a school CFO when I was a young teacher, is the way you can trace the mission of a school through its budget. And in fact, he was saying, like, you ought to be able to, and maybe the spreadsheet folks in the room would agree with me, you ought to be able to pick up a school's budget and see the mission of the school in the cells of the spreadsheet, just as you might see it in the lives of the students. So I now want to introduce you to talk about the financial state of our school. Our new, one of the newest members of our senior administrative team, I work with very closely. Our assistant head of school for finance and operations, Mr. Manuel Pardo. Manuel has added so much to the school already in just the one semester he's been with us, and Viewpoint has a very bright future indeed, and it's in no small part because of our financial strength, which is stewarded by Manuel and his colleagues. Manuel.
Okay, so we are going to talk about the school's budget as forecasted for next year, the 26-27 school year. And what we're looking at here first is all of the dollars that are coming into the school, right? All of the various sources of revenue for the school. If you don't count financial aid, gross, the school's budget is about $76 million next year. If you net out financial aid, it's about $67 million. You can see that the overwhelming majority of the dollars coming in, the yellow in this case, is from tuition and fees. And that's just regular tuition and some other fees like after-school application fees, credit card charges, and finance charges and such. But it's mostly tuition. And that is, we're very dependent on tuition. This is typical for most private schools, by the way, in California. The annual fund and the spring event, we budget at $3.5 million. That's also an important component that without it, we couldn't balance the budget. $3.5 million. Sometimes we do a little bit better than that, but we like to budget at 3.5. And then other sort of auxiliary or unrelated to tuition incoming dollars. For example, the The kitchen revenue, this is the gross amount, so it's not the expense, just not the net. It's the amount that we sell a year in the cafeteria food is about 1.7 million. The margin there is only about 1% of potential profit. And the summer program is also another important component, 1.3 million gross. Not net. Auxiliary programs, most of that 1.3 million is your bus fees that we charge for the daily commute for the students. We actually heavily subsidize that. We collect about 750,000 in bus fees, but we spend in transportation about 1.6, 1.7 million. So it's, but we cannot charge more than that because I don't think we could, it's market rate for what parents can afford. And then extended daycare, the swimming club, other type of fees like that are the components of the other auxiliary. Then your student trips, we do collect when the students go on retreats and overnight trips, about $1.2 million for all of the trips. We spend a little bit more than that, I think 1.6. We'll see it on the expenses side. Restrictions released is a draw that we do from the endowment, and when donors' conditions are met, we are able to draw funds from those investments into the operating fund, about $1 million. And then finally, interest incomes, our operating investments, earn usually from treasury bills and safe instruments. We earn about another $1 million for 1% for the total dollars that the schools brings in. So next, we're going to look at what those dollars go to, the expenses side of the ledger, right? We can see that the majority of the dollars goes to salary and benefits for the faculty and staff. About $36 million is for salaries and stipends only. Payroll tax is another $2.5 million. Health benefits, medical, dental, vision, et cetera, life insurance is about $3 million for our employees. And retirement benefits for the 403B plan is another $2 million for that blue component there for the 59%. Financial aid, we're assuming financial aid here as an expense. Normally, we budget as a reduction of the revenues, discounts of tuition. But if we put it as an expense with tuition remission, it's about $10.3 million in financial aid. So it is the second bigger component of that. Then there's other miscellaneous expenses that include the retreat side and field trips, $1.4 million. Repairs and maintenance of the facilities of all of the buildings, electrical, roofing, plumbing, et cetera, is another $1.3 million. Technology, academic and administrative technology is about $800,000. And then there's professional development for faculty and staff, aquatics, drama, plays, yearbook, legal, external auditors, everything in the gray bucket there. Insurance is something that, well, depreciation is of the facilities. We have to take an allowance for the buildings depreciating and the equipment. The blue is the insurance, property, legal, for the board, legal liability, directors and officers, earthquake insurance. We have some earthquake insurance, but that category has increased. It has probably doubled in the last 7 years or so, mostly because of the natural disasters and the fire risk. That's sort of what the market is doing now. So that proportionally has increased much more than inflation. The kitchen activity is about 1.7. Again, we don't budget for a profit. Bus transportation, we talked about 1.7. Utilities of all of the buildings is about $1 million. And then we pay interest to a bank for a mortgage, for a loan that we have. It's a long-term loan. We pay about $900,000 in interest, about $1.1 million in principal. So about $2 million a year we pay to retire a loan. We have a balance of about $38 million still. But it's a very fixed rate at 2.4% long-term. So it's very stable debt, and we want to keep it that way. It was necessary to build the school, the campus that you see, and the infrastructure and the facilities. It seems that we're missing, let's go to this one first before we go to the tuition. So here we're looking at the expenses of the school over a long period of time, almost 30 years of history. I picked 1999 because the year prior, 1998, is when the Viewpoint School got together with Meadow Oak School, and so the numbers looked a little bit different then. But this is on a proportional level basis. So obviously in 24-25, we're spending more dollars than we spent in 1999. But if we were doing it on a category by category basis, we see that, for example, salaries and benefits 27 years ago was on the low 60s of all expenses, and now we're sort of in the mid 60s percentage. So that's increased a little bit. That's the investment in the program and teachers that we have for the various subjects. And then the school was built, the infrastructure and the campus that you see was built mostly from 2005 to 2015 or so. That was the biggest boom in building for the school. So depreciation increased. The school had to borrow money, and the interest was higher as a proportion of the budget, about 5% of the budget in the yellow. And then as the buildings now are maturing, and it's been 10 or 15 years since the buildings were built, the other administrative expenses are increasing for maintaining and repairing the buildings. Insurance is higher than it used to be. We talked about that. And then other important costs, for example, as campus security, that is now a necessity that 20 years ago schools didn't have as much security, for example. So that's on a proportional basis, and that explains the expense side of the ledger. Our budget actually assumes that the surplus or the margin of error is going to be only about $400,000, which is less than 1%. So we're almost in a break-even situation with just a slight margin in case we have something unexpected. And then next, we're going to talk about tuition. As you know, we're going to be sending enrollment contracts later in the week, and sometimes parents ask about the tuition levels, how we're doing with other schools. So we have a summary of both elementary and secondary school to show you. And this is public information. You can find this in schools' websites and such. So this is representative of the elementary school tuition for our cohort, mostly geographical peer schools in the area, some of them on the west side and such. 15 schools representing fourth grade, in this case for elementary school. Some of these schools, like John Thomas Dye, are only elementary schools, and we'll have the secondary ones later. As you can see, Viewpoint, high to low, we're in 7th place out of 15, so we're right in the middle of the pack in tuition. Some schools are more expensive than us, some are less expensive. And on the lower side of the page, you can see the 11-year increases in tuition for the respective schools and ours as well. And you can see that the long-term increase in elementary school tuition has been 4.5% per year, every year, on average, which is, of course, higher than inflation. Inflation has probably been the 3%, 3.5%, including the COVID years. So this is something that is something to pay attention to, I think, for all of our schools. But schools, because we are very labor intensive with faculty and staff, it's sometimes hard to find productivity gains and therefore have savings for scale as in other businesses. So since the faculty and staff need some pay increase every year, it's hard to not have a tuition increase. So this is the behavior of the elementary school market. And then the next screen is the 9th grade tuition to represent the secondary school market. Also coincidentally 15 schools, and coincidentally we're 7th place out of 15. You'll see some new names here that only have the higher grades, like Harvard-Westlake School is 712 school. Windward is a 712 school. Archer is also upper grades and so forth. So it's a little bit different group, but we also happen to be 7th place. And this time, the long-term average increase of tuition has been slightly under the elementary school, 4.3%. So if you happen to see a tuition increase in the 4 range, it's not necessarily abnormal or unusual to have those ranges. as this has been the market behavior, not just for us, but by other schools. Now, other schools have also invested in infrastructure and developed their campuses to compete with other schools, athletic facilities and such, and they have borrowed and increased their expenses in those areas, and therefore the tuition increase also has funded that. And also schools have been adding positions that didn't exist before to provide more support for students in counseling services, nursing. We talked about security as well. And so schools have more richly staffed than they used to be 20 or 25 years ago. That really concludes the financial portion of the presentation. I don't know if you got any questions or comments.
We'll do questions at the end.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know if you're as excited as I am to see that the school is not only well stewarded, but is also financially strong. So we have strong finances, a committed community, we have impressive results, and we've heard from you that we're focused firmly on academic rigor, on consistent teaching excellence, on communication, and enhancing our programs. So where do we go from here? So I do want to share with you just a preview of what we're calling our Strategic Vision 2036. Remember our theme of excellence. Excellence isn't about defending what we've always done. It's about honestly assessing where we are, celebrating our strengths, addressing gaps, and committing to continuous improvement. So your feedback didn't just identify areas for us to focus on, it showed us the path forward, and I think you'll see that here. So you see here our strategic vision, which is that for all values-aligned families in Los Angeles, Viewpoint is the first choice for independent education, known for creating exceptional future readiness for each individual Viewpoint student. That is our North Star, underscoring our vision statement where we envision a world where education changes lives. As we approach our 65th year next year, we look ahead to our 75th year. And as we look ahead to that 75th year of Viewpoint with this Strategic Vision 2036, we will double down on our world-ready promise that distinguishes Viewpoint and our graduates from every other school in Los Angeles and the country. We will intensify and we will innovate, preserving what is core, enhancing and building on our strengths, and finding new opportunities to deliver the Viewpoint promise in these four pillar areas. Our pillars of people, of places, of mission and program, and of finance and philanthropy. So what does that mean? Under our pillar of people, we're answering the question, how do we ensure that every classroom will have excellent teachers who care about their students and who challenge them to be world ready? The key word in our people goals is mentorship. And so you see here that we will recruit, retain, and develop exceptional teachers, strengthen our professional development program so that we are ready for that future as an institution, identify and develop leaders and support their growth, and build out our alumni network of mentors. You see a thread of mentorship throughout our people goal. We have been a people-first organization. It's how the last 4 years we have been known to be a best place to work in Southern California. You've probably heard the only school on that list, and we aspire to build on that foundation as we build the Viewpoint community of educators who will then be educating that next generation of students. Our second pillar of our Strategic Vision 2036 is places. And really the key word here is what do we need to enliven our mission as we go forward? So you see several goals. We will realize our facilities' dreams, building new spaces for athletics and for the arts that are badly needed to address gaps in our programs. We'll enhance academic and community spaces, really addressing a thread and a theme of belonging and gathering. This beautiful campus is a mile long, and one of the challenges for those of us who live its rhythms each and every day is sometimes it makes it challenging for us to gather, because we're all along this long creek here, this beautiful creek here, and it's very hard. In fact, there's no really good place for our entire upper school to gather as an upper school. So these students that you've heard are part of an upper school that doesn't even fit in our Carlson Family Theater. And similarly, we want to get 2 divisions together. It's very hard to do that on this campus. So we need places where we can gather and where students can perform athletically, where they can perform academically, where they can perform artistically. And then finally, you see one of the threads of our strategic vision is to leverage our Santa Monica Mountains home. We're really blessed by this natural environment. It inspires our learning each and every day, and we're really doubling down on that in this vision as well. The third pillar is the delivery of our mission, which is to say, our program. And the key word here, of course, is that construct of future readiness. Academic rigor is parents' #1 priority, and this vision asks, what does academic rigor look like as we approach 2036 and beyond? And you see that in this area, we will connect and enrich the classroom with authentic contexts, doubling down on our commitments in experiential education. We will pioneer AI literacy initiatives, cultivate career pathways through mentorship and scholars programs, building on what already exists, seek national distinction and industry collaboration, and ground everything we do in character, belonging, and well-being. This is the heart of the Viewpoint experience. And then our fourth pillar is finance and philanthropy, the foundation that sustains it all. In finance, the key word is sustainability. How do we ensure that Viewpoint is thriving for its next 75 years and beyond? And so you can see here, we are focused on increasing participation in philanthropy, on embarking upon fundraising campaigns for endowment and for the capital improvements that we mentioned in this plan, expanding our commitment to affordability and access, and growing to serve more families across Los Angeles. Together, and you've heard us talk about our community in Los Angeles, together these pillars mean that we aren't just competing with our peers in Los Angeles, we're leading. One early proof point of this new plan can be seen in some new advanced placement and advanced course offerings in our upper school that will be coming in 26-27. And I really want to acknowledge the leadership of Annika Emerson, our Assistant Head of School for Learning and Innovation, and my colleague Bob Bryan, our Associate Head of School. Together they lead this incredible faculty, our administration, in building out our academic program. And we're very excited to share this with you tonight, as we did with our Board of Trustees last week when they met. So you can see here new courses. Viewpoint is going to offer a brand new course that the College Board has debuted in AP Cybersecurity. Isn't that future ready? Courses in AP Microeconomics and Macroeconomics in response to student hunger and to students' plans for the future that are already showing up as they're headed off to college. A course in AP African American Studies. Courses in Global Economics and the foundations of the music industry. This builds on a thread of academic coursework that we've seen developing in our upper school programmings. You heard the words VAS. That stands for Viewpoint Advanced Studies, or what we sometimes informally call our post-AP programs. So you see here a continued commitment to AP, advanced placement, and you also see a commitment to going so-called beyond AP, really unleashing the creativity of our faculty to challenge students with new courses. Another proof point, you've probably heard us talk about our global scholars. You may have heard us talk about our literary scholars and our STEM scholars. So we are developing a new business and entrepreneurship scholars program that will open up next year for students in our future that is aligned with our successful existing scholars programs and will give our upper school students an opportunity to further define their pathway through the Viewpoint academic experience. That's a direct response to what we've been seeing students to the student pathways we've been seeing in the last 10 years as they made their way through Viewpoint and going beyond. And it's a direct response also to student need. And we know that there are some leaders in business and entrepreneurship who probably have ideas for us to help us make that a reality. Another proof point where we already have momentum with this strategic vision is the incredible success and progress we've had in philanthropy. And I really want to shout this out in order to take the opportunity to thank you, because you are also our donor community, who show your devotion to Viewpoint School through your increased giving. This is really celebrated, our impact report for 24-25 that just dropped last week. This is an extraordinary new digital impact report, and I want to invite you to go back in your email or click on our website and take a look at it because it's really exceptional. And the foundation, we have essentially doubled our fundraising results over the last 5 years. We were, 5 years ago, underperforming vis-a-vis our peers. And now we are competing with our peers. And again, we aspire to lead. So we have big dreams for the future. So this is our vision for 2036. We will intensify and innovate in people, places, mission, and program, finance, and philanthropy. And this vision didn't come from consultants. It didn't come from long meetings. It actually came from you, from your feedback, from our faculty, from our students, and from this incredible community that celebrates and lifts up our students' lives. As we look around the corner, I want to draw your attention to the benefit that we will have, our 43rd annual Viewpoint benefit. It's always a great celebration of our community and is a party with a purpose. Once again, we'll be focusing our benefit on raising needed funds for our financial aid program, and it'll be May 2nd, 2026 at the Calamigos Ranch. So I want to thank you all for marking your calendars and saving the date to join us at our 43rd annual benefit. And nearer in the calendar, I want you to take a note that MakerFest is right around the corner. If you're in our primary or lower schools, you don't ever want to miss MakerFest. It is a celebration of all things making for our students and families in TK through 5. And it's amazing because our volunteers in all throughout the campus, faculty and students come in and support MakerFest. We also have our book fair coming up in February. And don't miss Voices Now at the Catalina Jazz Club. That incredible Viewpoint group. So you can, again, see our mission come to life. So I want to thank you for your engagement and see if there are any questions. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Are there any questions? Yes, in the back. Oh, thank you, Mr. Early. It's amazing. We're having some, changing of the guards, so to speak, in our leadership. Mr. Alan Howie did moved to Canada last year. And this year, we've been very capably served by Dr. Bobby McDaniel as our interim head of upper school. Thank you. And we introduced our new head of upper school, Mr. Mike Imborski. Mike is joining us from the Department of State. In fact, he was a colleague of Bobby's. She might have had something to do with introducing him to the opportunity. But her influence just led him to us. And then we had really an international search process led by an outstanding consulting team and a search committee here on site. And we had some 4 finalists visit. And so Mike Imborski comes to us with a career of leadership. He has been a division head. He has actually been a head of a school. He's had a career that started in the classroom as teaching. And we're very excited about what he's going to bring to the school. He begins in July. Until then, Dr. Bobby is our head of upper school. And one of the things that people really resonated with his authenticity of manner. He really resonated with our mission and program. And it wasn't it was surprising to us that we landed with someone who had international schools experience. You might look at that and say, oh, that's just a straight line, or like that looks like world ready. But we weren't necessarily looking for someone with international schools experience. We were looking for someone who was the very best next leader of our upper school. And I'll tell you, we had an incredible pool. It does so happen, actually, that he's had a world of experience at schools in both the U.S. and abroad, and that's we're excited about the vision that he's going to bring. We also have, an incredible faculty and incredible leadership team. And so we really see this as an opportunity to double down on that world-ready promise. I'd say each of our divisions right now, we unveiled that mission statement 5 years ago now in 2021 of exceptional readiness for extraordinary futures. And so what I'd say is we found now with 4 or 5 years of experience, you've noticed with the themes, we've been holding up the 5 core values. We've had years devoted to honor and imagination and excellence. Where we're at now is at a place of real maturity and depth with that. And so it really is an opportunity, both in leadership, someone like Mr. Imborski, or in our strategy, to double down on that and say, okay, what does it really mean to be world ready as we look at the future? So I'm excited about his leadership. Other questions? We also have Mr. Bob Bryan. I want to thank you. We'll be thanking Bob at other events in the spring, but I don't want to let this State of the School pass. I acknowledge your leadership of our academic program, your responsibility for faculty recruitment. I particularly want to acknowledge that this is your 50th year of service in our world of independent schools, your 11th at Viewpoint, and thank you for your service to Viewpoint. And so we're similarly engaged in an international search for our next associate head of school. And what I can tell you is that Viewpoint today is as competitive as ever, and I'm confident both in that search process and in a great result. So I want to thank you for being here. This is our vision. We're not just maintaining Viewpoint, we're transforming it, doubling down on 65 years of education to be the first choice for values-aligned families in Los Angeles. This is our commitment. It's our vision. It's our future. Thank you for your trust, and have a great evening. Thank you.